Earl Burnside is an amazingly gifted guitar player who is one of the few people responsible for inventing the hill country blues sound. And Jumper on the Line is one of the most iconic hill country blues songs of all time. And it's no surprise that this has been one of my most requested songs ever. But the unique sound of this song makes it really difficult to copy. So let's talk about what makes it difficult, and then I'll give you some tips on how y'all can learn how to play it too, with tabs on the screen. Here we go. So this is probably the most famous version of him playing it. This is the version that most of y'all have heard. And this is what we're gonna go over later, but we're just looking at this to confirm. Is he playing that chuck part with his thumb? Or is he using his fingers like this? Because it sounds to me like he's doing this technique, but it looks like he's doing this. Let's see if we get a better angle here. Wow. And that's going so fast, it's really difficult to see. He might be using that index finger to do the scratch. Let's slow it way down and see if we can figure this thing out. This is half speed. Okay, now to me, that definitely now looks, okay, yeah, for sure. You can see a hit there. You can watch his fingernail. There. There, you can see he's actually doing that chuck with that thumb. So, you know, I came back to this over and over again and I kept trying it. Maybe he has a thumbnail. Maybe I could try growing my thumbnail out. I tried that. It's definitely not the right sound, and I hate living like that with a longer thumbnail. It's terrible. So a few months go by and I keep trying it in different ways. And then I thought, well, maybe with a thumb pick, you could get that sound. Wait a minute. That's the sound. That's that bright sound. Now, he's getting that with this. And also in the warm section of his guitar. And if you check out it on the electric, it's brighter. Okay, so that's a clue. So it's definitely a clue. So we know he's doing it with his thumb. It doesn't look like he has the thumbnail. So how is he getting that sound? Well, there's kind of one solution left. Basically, he has developed a callus on his thumb that's thick and rough, and it has that bright sound like this. Now, how do you develop that? Well, it's just years of playing this style. So that leaves us with basically back to our first solutions. You can either play with a thumb pick, to get that bright sound. Alternatively, you can do this. He's not doing it that way, so I kept attempting it that way, and this is just a lesson that sometimes to get the right sound, my philosophy has always kind of been, you've got to copy what their mechanics are exactly. But then sometimes you run into an issue like this where, you know, physically you might not be able to copy their mechanics because of the way that your hand is built, or because you don't have calluses formed yet, or maybe in other circumstances because your hands are smaller, like you can't do thumb over the neck technique. There's always other ways that you can kind of get these sounds, and it's important to keep trying. If you don't keep trying and coming back to it, then you miss out on having a lot of the fun of playing this song. So the solution that I came up with for me, and then I think that y'all will be able to play most easily as well, is kind of a combination, is using the thumb pick and the scratch technique. And then you can get really fast with it also. And I know a lot of you can't play with the thumb pick, but still. This backhand technique is going to give you a lot of that same sound. And also the stamina to be able to play longer, and also to use this technique in a bunch of other hill country songs. You don't have to have long nails, you just have to have some kind of fingernail that'll kind of protect your hand from going down that way and also give it that nice bright sound. So I know this has been a long intro and this is a lot to get through, but I think that this is an important lesson to talk about. Not giving up, about exploring the different possibilities, and doing a lot of research and things like that to try to get it sounding as authentic as you can with the mechanics and the skills that you have, and with the physical abilities that you also have. There's ways that you guys can play this, and that's the method that I came up with. That's the method that I'm using. It's really common for hill country blues. It's a method that I've been using for a while, but what stumped me was just seeing that he was using his thumb to get most of those notes in. So don't give up on this stuff, guys, and explore different possibilities, but you got to build up mechanics in the right way. You got to know what mechanics you're supposed to be using. Attempt that as long as you can until you physically can't do it anymore, and then see if you can try a different technique. So even still, for me to learn this, I use the methods that I teach. And what I'm going to show you right now is something that I call the build method. And I use this myself to learn just about every song I've ever taught on YouTube and any other song I know. It's the best method for learning rhythmically how to play songs. So what we're doing is we're building the riff kind of from the inside out, making sure that you can play the strong beats of each measure correctly with the correct mechanic. Let's just jump in and you'll get the idea of it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps to get through the main riff. So let's start with this one. Either one finger on this second fret of the D string to play the C minor chord, or you can put both fingers down if you want, okay? I use one finger because I think it helps with muting. Thumb on E string, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going thumb and then extending the fingers out for beats 2 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is just step 1, just getting used to doing this kind of backhand thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's go to step 2. Step 2 is where we're going to start to vary the amount of this scratch. So this is all scratch. And then this is a little bit of scratch. How are you doing that? I'm using the pinky of my left hand and some of my other fingers and my third finger as well to keep the notes short. And then you can vary the amount of the scratch that you're doing, okay? So step 2, let's do it together. Let's put the metronome on for the rest of the exercises. Okay, this is at 140. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool? All right, let's go to step 3. Step 3, we're gonna add beat 3 with the alternating bass. So now we're gonna have like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So make sure that right hand thumb is alternating between the low E string and the A string. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, step 4 is we're gonna add an index finger pluck on the and of 2. So very slowly, I'm gonna slow the metronome down here, but this will sound like this. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. So notice on the 2 and, we're going 1, slap, and then releasing to play the open D string, plucking with the index finger like that. Really slowly, 1, 2, okay? Let's put the metronome down to 120 this time. 2, ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 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 Cool. On step 5, we're going to add an extra bass note. When he plays the first beat, he's going 1 real big, and he's including this octave, at least. Sometimes he's actually including the entire kind of chord. But what we're just going to do is start with just bigger hit, just hitting this octave. So how do you hit this octave? Well, with the left finger, I'm using my middle finger on this note E, the second fret of the D string. And the edge of it is touching the A string. If you can zoom in here, you can see that when I play, even if I play all 6 strings, a lot of the strings are kind of muted just with this one finger. The high E string's muted, this B string comes out a little bit, this G string is muted, and this A string is muted. And that's kind of how he's playing it. He's only letting some of these top notes kind of come out, okay? So, but what we're just aiming for is just the bottom 2, and that's all we're adding on step 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay, that's step 5. Step 6 is going to get you through to the second measure completely. This is just the second measure by itself. This measure sounds like this. All we're at, it's exactly what we just did, except now we're adding this. 1, 2, and 3. Hammer on. 1, 2, and 3. Hammer on. 1, 2, and 3. And then we hammer on second finger on the second fret there. Okay? And notice there's an X on the high E string here. And that's just because, I wanted to indicate that the notes are coming in a little bit on this chord, but it's still muted and short. Okay? So I don't want you to try to just hit it like that and make sure that this one is muted by itself. Just try to make it short with a little bit more of the chord ringing, like this. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Notice a little bit more of that chord's coming out. Here we go. Ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. All right, great. Step 7. Now we're building up the first measure. How we do that is by adding a little bit of more this kind of syncopation stuff. So we're going 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So notice we're going 2, and thumb, and with the index finger, and then right after that we do a 4. Okay, back to that chord. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Notice the fingers here, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, notice which ones are playing with the thumb and which ones are index finger. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Cool. Finally, the 8th step here, he just adds one extra little beat on the and of 4. Same note, plucking it with the index finger like this. So altogether, it's like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And. Okay, so plucking that and there. 2, ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 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 1. Okay, and then finally we get the full 2-measure phrase, which will sound in reverse, kind of the way we did it. We do what we just did, and then back to measure 2. Altogether, sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice sometimes on beat 1 in the very beginning, you know, I'm adding a big old chuck here, including some of those high strings. It's written just to do it like this, and that's one of the variations he does. Sometimes he'll do it. Sometimes he'll do it short, 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 long, long, long. Okay. Also, he's playing up here, so he has this. So you can play up here to try to get the sound exactly the same, but those types of things I don't think are super important. Like to get the song and the groove, the emotional feel right, you can play it here or back here, it doesn't really matter. Like this is just a small tone difference. Let me demonstrate. Versus it's different, right? But is it that different for you to have to learn a whole new technique with your hand up here? I don't think so, but just so you guys know, he's playing with his hand up here. He also will rest his fingers on the curved part of his guitar here, and he's kind of using that as kind of a pivot point so he can go back and forth. So the next part, he puts these little riffs in. It sounds like this. Okay, let me show you the first. That's the main riff. That's also how he opens the song. Like right before you get into the riff, you almost like start beat 1, you just go like that, and then he goes right into the riff. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, in the song, the first time he plays this riff, he'll play this kind of 2 times, almost in a row. So the first time is like this. Okay, and then the second time he gets back into the riff, it goes. Like that. So it's just the 2 times on the high E string. Another time he does this riff, it goes like this. Those riffs are kind of slow and simple-ish, but the timing is really weird. Notice in the video here, he's always tapping his leg on the strong beats, so beats 1 and 3. So he's keeping time. Even though it feels like these riffs are out of time, he's keeping time throughout this riff. Let's watch him do it. And then with the metronome, 2, 3, 4. So it's always that click, 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 boom, boom. Now it's a weird rhythm. Sometimes he's adding 2 extra beats there. So just try to remember when you do the riff. Okay, whatever the riff is, if you're improvising one, when you end on it, stop, hold that note for a moment, and then click, click, click. Okay, and then that's the whole thing. Lastly, I'm just gonna kind of play it up to tempo, which is 220, just so you have an idea of like how fast this goes. so much fun once you kind of get in the groove and you can kind of do that with your right hand, that bum, 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 bum. Again, I want to say, please take your time on this one. Don't expect it to come really fast. I've been working on this on and off for months or maybe even longer. It's a really difficult piece, and these techniques are not really something that you would have come across before exactly in the same way. There's similar techniques. This popping thing, this is something that we kind of do in a lot of different hill country songs. And you can check out a lot of my other videos that do that type of technique, like Snake Drive, or I've got several other ones in hill country style. And that will kind of get you going in this style. Now, I've also got a percussion course that I'm in creation of right now, and it's for acoustic guitar. And the percussion course is teaching a lot of these types of rakes and slap kind of techniques and things like that. And that can help you get going in this hill country style. But the course is actually built for a lot of different styles too. So you can play modern finger style and also just some other percussion things from pop music and classic rock, things like that too. Now there's a lot of people that cover this song. Some people actually play it with a pick. I think it sounds great. Check out a lot of these other different versions and see how these other people play it and see how maybe you can adapt it. And the best hope is to be able to play it in your own way and just to have fun with it and be able to interpret this song in your own way. Additionally, in the future, I'm going to do a whole nother lesson on this song on the acoustic guitar because he also has these acoustic versions. Although they're very similar, there's some subtle differences that I'll talk about how you can play it on the acoustic as opposed to the electric sound. So that's it for this one, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.